Genetic engineering has its supporters and its opponents. When used for the advancement of science and medicine, it can be used for the common good. Consider all the wonderful work done to prevent debilitating genetic defects. But if the knowledge falls into evil hands, the results can be devastating. The theme of this episode builds distinct parallels to Nazi Germany, where selective breeding was attempted to build a master race. There's a little backstory connected to this episode. The fictional eugenics war of the 1990s was fought between those who wished to create a genetically perfect race and those who wished to keep the human race as delightfully imperfect as it is. The supermen who weren't destroyed were sent into deep space, and that's where Space Seed begins.
There it is. An old Earth vessel similar to the DY-500 class.
Much older. DY-100 class, to be exact. Captain, the last such vessel was built centuries ago, back in the 1990s.
Star Trek was at its worst undoubtedly those years before we made the first movie.
Increase to full power!
There were so many incarnations that it was going through. First it was to be a television show, and then it was to be a movie of the week, and then it was to be a movie, and then it was to be a television show again. And I know that, as all the actors do, because they put us under contract for each one, and we were all paid off 3 times.
Sorry, number one. A little information on this planet, we'll have to leave the ship's most experienced officer here covering us.
Of course, sir.
So it was the studio's indecision about which way to go with it and how to handle it.
Thank you for letting me make the decision, Captain. I'm quite certain I'm doing the right thing.
She's staying with the ship.
The owner of Paramount had said, well, don't we have something after Star Wars came out? Don't we have something like that? And they said, yeah, it's called Star Trek. He said, well, let's drag it back out again.
Have you been sleeping? 2 centuries, we estimate.
Magnificent.
But Gene, you know, he didn't let those things bother him. Again, he was a very, very incredible optimist, and he wanted to keep busy. I can quote him, the emotional and physical cost is quite high. It is the artist's calculated risk, like the candle that will burn for just so long. You can force it to burn brighter, but it will also burn faster. You pay for it. Still, I'd rather do that than flicker dimly in a corner.
The nearest star is Alpha Centauri, and at the speed of light, it'll take 4 years to get there. How will a human survive the journey? The concept of suspending life has been used in science fiction as a way of getting travelers to the stars. The idea is to intentionally stop or vastly slow down all life support functions during the trip and then revitalize them when the spacecraft nears its destination. 2001 and Alien both use different forms of life suspension to take care of their crews. But what will we do when the time finally comes for us to really take that journey?
One of the things that's great about Star Trek is there are never happy endings in life. There just isn't. There's no happy endings. There are happy endings to chapters. That's what all of this is about.
In 1993, a group of these young supermen did seize power simultaneously in over 40 nations.
Well, they were hardly supermen. They were aggressive, arrogant. They began to battle among themselves.
Because the scientists overlooked one fact. Superior ability breeds superior ambition.
Khan is my name.
We don't know what happened before we arrived, do we? And we really don't know what's going to happen to us. We might have faith in something, but we don't know what's going to happen beyond that. Same thing happens in television, Star Trek. Nobody knows what the next episode is going to be.
Unable to flood engineering section.
I suspect...
This is Scott. Captain's headed for the engineering section. I'll follow in case...
Negative. We must retake the vessel while the anesthesia lasts. Meet me in the armory. I'm blowing it clear first. Spock out.
Sure, there'll be the day when this particular entity called Star Trek, like anything else, will finish itself. But there will be something that will pick it up right from that point and continue on. It'll be the same thing, because the human being doesn't change. His emotions are always the same. There's love, there's hate.
I intend to take this ship. Do you agree?
You won't harm anyone.
Now you question me.
No.
Will you assist me?
Oh, please, Khan, don't ask me.
Leave me then.
And when we reach as far as Star Trek presumes we do, then there'll be, from that point, the 10 generations from now, they'll be going even beyond that. It's a continuum that just never stops.
I'll go with him, sir.
A superior woman. I will take her. And I've gotten something else I wanted. A world to win, an empire to build.
Space Seed introduced the captivating character of Khan, played by Ricardo Montalban. Khan, who possesses great physical and mental acumen, is drawn from classical Greek mythology. He's made possible not by supernatural powers, but by genetic engineering. Here we have a Star Trek twist: the updating and transporting of these legendary gods into the 23rd century. Montalban later reprised his role in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
One of the goals of Adolf Hitler's Nazi regime was to create a genetically engineered race of supermen through selective breeding. Thankfully, they failed. But the idea of creating a superior being through genetics has lingered. Right now, scientists are mapping the human genome, the blueprint of life. Put to good use, these discoveries have enormous potential to help mankind. But what happens when we begin to use our technology to create the perfect human, immune to disease, stronger, smarter, superior to us in every way? Might these supermen and women view us as something less than perfect? Something less worthy of survival? Almost as legendary as some Star Trek episodes is the Star Trek blooper reel. This collection of outtakes, stumbles, and flubbed lines has been shown at countless conventions over the years. Now, usually, when we made a mistake, it was edited out of the show. But once in a while, something would slip by. Early in this episode, when Kirk, McCoy, Scotty, and MacGyvers board the Botany Bay, Kirk is forced to break the glass on Khan's sleep chamber in order to save his life. Well, if you look closely, you'll see that as Bill Shatner broke the glass, his phaser slipped off his belt and fell to the ground. You can even see Dee Kelly's eyes follow the phaser and then look up to see if the director was going to call cut. However, in this case, replacing the glass and resetting the scene would have been too time-consuming, not to mention expensive. So the take stayed in. Not the last time that the frugalities of production would overcome aesthetics. If you take Star Trek history at its word, the eugenics wars mentioned in Space Seed took place in the 1990s. Khan seized power in 1992 and soon controlled over a quarter of the planet. By 1996, he was overthrown, and he and his band of supermen fled the planet in the SS Botany Bay. Star Trek was ahead of its time in predicting many events and technologies. Many have come to pass, but this is one time where I'm glad we were way off the mark.